And hello, my name is Alex, and welcome to AleksConnects Creative Sandbox. So, let's continue our Fanart project Angry Birds vs Transformers. I guess right away. Today's session is going to be super short, so I think I'm not going to waste that much time on talking, and although I'm going to talk a lot, but only on the subject. And we are continuing to work on lighting. Staging, lighting, staging, lighting. So yeah, previously on Lost. Nope. Not on Lost. So yeah, give me a second to dive into work. I kinda need to remember things. So I don't think that we need this one. Need to find it somewhere here. Also, by the way, let's see how our value planning or contrast planning looks without line, because I actually forgot to look at this without a line yesterday. So this is how it looks without a line, which is kind of cool. Contrasts separated enough so everything is kind of distinctive. Again, not everything is going to be distinctive. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, not everything is going to be distinctive, but these three characters are distinctive enough for us, and for the most part they are the focal point. Bubbles is just the, I don't want to say it, but it's kind of an afterthought. I don't know, it's just an additional thing to have. Again, it's just like a comic relief, or I don't know, it's just additional information. So Bubbles here just for the sake of creating a contrast. It's not a main character. So for us, these three are the main ones, and that's why we need come on. I guess I need to drink water, but I don't have any closer to me, so yeah, I'm going to scratch throughout the whole session. Sorry for that. Okay. No, wait a minute. Is it supposed to be like this? Yes, actually, this is the proper way. So this local value 12, actually, we need it here. Exactly that. Yeah, this one is actually final. So yeah, now the question, where I need to go from here. Let's think. So the main thing that I wanted to do with this is to establish main values. It's on one layer, that's why. Okay, so this thing is actually on the same layer. We need to get rid of it. By the way, one of the reasons why I actually started super late is because I waited for rendering to finish. I'm kinda re-rendering all videos that I recorded from this project and making from and preparing them for the future time lapse. And the problem is, or so-called speed paint, but in this particular instance it's not going to be a speed paint, it's just going to be a time lapse of the whole process. And the problem is, since I already took about 100 hours plus on this project, can you imagine how long it's going to take? So basically I'm re-rendering all videos in the PNGs, and it takes super long. Right now I'm only on the 7th or 8th session. This is 43rd. So okay, I'm going to do this super long. So again, I didn't plan for this project to go so long, but I didn't set particular boundaries for it either. So that's why it's kind of a free for me, because that way by working on this project I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm just testing everything. I'm trying to stream, getting experience in all of these things, adjusting to new things, learning new things, trying new things. So basically this project for me is just an, I don't know, a way of push myself out of my comfort zone and gain new experiences. So that's why I'm not like that bothered how many hours it's going to take me. And I definitely know that I will finish someday. Hope it's going to be this year, because until the end of this year it's got like month plus left, and I hope I will finish it till the new year. I actually will finish it. It all is going to be depends how I'm going to go about this project, how many hours I'm going to spend on it. I actually want to extend hours on creative. So we'll see. Okay, so these are the main values, and the whole reason why I'm actually worked on these values was to establish the local values for every object and subject in our scene, because I need to understand where I'm, like, my starting point, and for me this is my starting point. So I know that Chuck is going to be this value when I'm going to start actually paint this in value and actually we'll start to render it. I'm going to know that table is going to be something closer to this value, red is going to be this value, bubbles this value, this one this value, all robots are going to be this value, and then we're going to think what we need to change. The same goes for the floor, for the ceiling, and etc. Of course, I didn't finish this one since this is going to be a pretty short session. I think I will continue to define a particular value elements, because it's not the end. We still have a lot of things in here, and we need to test what type of value we're going to use in here. But for the most part, these questions are already answered, because since we at the beginning decided that everything in here is going to be the same. By the way, why it's 20? Oh, we actually changed a little bit. Yeah. Let's just continue to put values. Let's choose, by the way, this layer. It's not going to intersect with anything. Good. So, what is this? When I draw it. Of course, this one is going to be much darker. Or maybe a little bit lighter, we'll see. But either way, I kind of want to test them out. See how they're going to look. Because again, the whole reason why I'm doing this now and not later, because again, the more work I'm going to do on this stage, the less work I need to do on the rendering stage, which is always a good thing. Because as I said before, we're going to be overloaded with work that we need to do on the rendering stage, and eventually it will just become super overwhelming. One of the reasons to control this feeling of overwhelmingness, if you can say like this, I guess not, but whatever, is to make sure that we're going to work to increase this level of overwhelmingness. Can't say it like this, whatever. Whoa. I forget that you can't combine layers in here by a particular shortcuts. Okay. So these things are just a small element to make this more alien-like. I'm still going to think about how to go about these things and actually what to do with them. Still not sure. Why it's not painting? Nothing on top though. Oh, because it's the same value, you tell me? No. I still don't know how these things are going to look like, because again, in terms of the design, do I need to make them light up? But that way they're kind of going to destruct if there's going to be some type of lights. But at the same time, if I will make them lights, it will create an additional light source suggested in here. So if we, for instance, add some type of light source on this wall, now it's going to be justified, because we have something that suggests that these are the lights. It could be a good idea though. Could make things a little bit more interesting. And actually bring attention to here, in between to our statues. Definitely something to consider. Because if I'm not going to do anything with it, it's not necessarily going to be that obvious. But I don't want to make this element obvious. I actually want to make it super subtle. I don't want a viewer to just right away, oh, look at this, these are alive. No, I kind of want to make viewer a little bit like think, okay, we have transformers in here, they're doing particular thing, they're throwing a tea party, whatever. Cool. So now we're going through all illustration, and now we're starting to see, oh, wait a minute, this thing has like bloody eyes. Why? Maybe they will come to life and actually will destroy Angry Birds. So now it kind of creates interest for the viewer to actually do something, not just see whatever we already depicted. So not everything we need to make super obvious. Some things we need to leave for the viewer to figure it out by him or herself. That's why we need to be careful with decisions that we make. It's not random. So still need to think what to do with this part. So if I will separate it and actually make it some type of a metallic thing, which would be a good thing, because again, as I said before, a part of this design probably is going to be used or already used in the statue design, which will make them connected, seem connected and feel connected. And the more connections we create, the better. Yeah, I think this thing actually needs to be super visible, because it kind of directs motion towards things that we need. Yeah, definitely. And of course, the way to make this one subtle. We are going into dark. I don't know, maybe these are... Still don't know what they're going to be. This is something that we need to answer on the final design stage. And I think we could go free in this type of stage. And actually do whatever we want. For the most part, we already answered the most important questions. Angry Birds, statues, Quintessa. Although we still need to design, make a particular design for teacups, or yeah, for every element in here. We have references for it, so it's not going to be that hard thing to do. Okay, what's next? Yeah, by the way, previously I kind of talked that I want to create values now inside over every bird, which could be a good idea, I guess. So let's just open references. Open references on the other monitor. Oh, come on, why? Still don't understand why it opens constantly with OneDrive. It's kind of super annoying. Every time I'm deleting OneDrive from photos, and every time that I'm launching OneDrive, it's automatically adds to the program, which is super annoying, and every time I need to close it. It's just... Okay, in terms of values, again, these references I'm looking for, or looking at. So I just wanted to see in these references like the values of everything. So we kind of established the local value of the whole body, but now we need to establish values for these parts. They are kind of important because they will be a good part of illustration, and it might force us to actually change something. I hope I'm not going to change that much, but if I have to, I will. So I wish there was a function of making everything black and white. Oh, actually, there is a function. We could get rid of the color in here. Good. Undo all. So what I did is I just opened a particular photo or snapshot, and now I kind of want to analyze how these values are different. I made color. So basically, that's what I did. Yeah, edit, adjust, color, and I just basically turned down the color. So now we don't have any color in here, and we could analyze the particular values of a separate part. So of course this one is super dark, which is kind of cool. Beak, a little bit different value, but it could be, no, it's actually much darker than local value of the bird itself. So yeah, eyebrows. So I basically going to look for these type of elements. So eyebrows, eyes, beaks, feathers, probably their legs and wings. No, wings are for the most part the same. Their bellies. So yeah, let's just again, I'm not going to color pick them. I kind of want to train my eye and actually see these values by myself, because this is one of the ways to actually train your eye to see proper values. It could take you a long time until you will start to figure out like the put right away proper values. So for instance, right now I kind of think that for the red I actually created too light value. It needs to be a little bit darker. But at the same time, I'm thinking about local value, and local value kind of close to that. No, they're actually even darker, maybe 15. Although they're kind of visible. Try 20. Yeah, 20 could work. Eyebrows not that separate, or they're not that different from, maybe a little bit lighter. Maybe 17. Beak is definitely light. Yeah, kind of close to this one. And of course this part is super light. Since we're not seeing legs, we're not going to bother about them. And eyes, of course, needs to be not white, but probably 90. No, less, probably 80, 85. No, too much. Probably 75. Okay, close to 75. The good thing would be if I actually create swatches for it, because after I will turn off this one and actually try to pick. Actually, by picking I could do this, as long as I creating a distinctive separation. I guess I'm not going to create swatches yet. So let's think this illustration is this thing is basically our future swatches that we're going to use to create actual final rendering. Swatches. The stream is recording. Yep. Yippee-deep. Okay, let's continue with the red. So red actually is going to have dark eyebrows. The cool thing is, for the most part, we need to use not new values, but actually we need to try to utilize the already existing values, because that way it's going to be much easier. They're still going to be shifted a little bit in the final illustration when we're going to actually put them in the lighting conditions, because there are a lot of things that are going to affect them. Again, like bounce lights, the direct lights, and like area lights, and a bunch of other things, reflective color from different objects. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and that's one of the reasons why my brain is already exploding, because I'm trying to put my mind around this thing, and I understand how hard it's going to be. So eyes needs to be same for, I'm going to use 74. I have 72, whatever. It's kind of interesting. In order to make eyes stand out, right here, since we're for the most part dealing with the dark values, we don't need to put super white, because it's enough to put something like 70 to actually look white. But right here, and especially right here, since we're already dealing with the light values, if we're going to put the same as here, of course it's not going to be visible at all. So that's why we probably need to go further, but not all the way to the white. Because white is almost, so is the black, it's rarely present in realistic light conditions. They present either, black I guess, present in super deep occlusions, and light is present right in the core of the light itself. So if we have visible light, there's definitely going to be a complete white in the core of this light. For instance, like a lamp or fire. Okay, so okay. Again, since we already established for the most part these darks. By the way, this one is going to be even darker, I think. But 9 kind of works. Now let's just use 9. We're going to work on the proper shape, of course, in the final line up, or line. When we are going to work with line art. For now, I'm not going to stress too much about the shapes. Suggestions would be more than enough. They are not proper suggestions, but still. The same for this one. It's actually good. It kind of creates the contrast that we actually needed. Okay, 3 is too much. Definitely need to tone it down. Although maybe 5 would be a good choice, or 6. It needs to be enough to separate this plan against what we have in the back, and it's going to be enough. Good. Okay. Yeah, I think red needs to be a little bit more darker. I think I actually made it super light. It needs to be darker. Probably 60. Probably even more darker than 60. Because when I actually tried to figure out the actual value for the red, I tried to analyze red in the super light up conditions. It was pretty lit up. Lit. It's still going to work in terms of the contrast, I think. It actually works even better. Because now he is clearly separate from the tablecloth. Before it was not the case. It was pretty close to the tablecloth. Although he's probably even darker. But making him darker would be even worse, because then he's going to be super close to this. If I choose in between 30 and 60, of course we have probably 45. Let's try this one. Although I don't think that it's going to work. But who knows? That actually kind of works. This is previous, this is what's new. Okay, I will keep it this one. I will see how it's going to look when I actually will add color, because for now values kind of work. They're working, but when I actually go to add color, things could change. So for now I'm working with the value that works best for this particular situation. Then I will apply color and we'll see how color with this value is going to actually interact. And if this value is not going to be appropriate for the particular color that needs to depict red the best way, then I will change it, make it a little bit darker. But for now I will keep it this way. This kind of works. I think big would be this value, and it works. By the way, most of their beaks, they are similar in value. Although we can't make them similar value again because of the differences in the contrast. Do I need to make this beak darker or lighter? No, I think we definitely later need to make red a little bit darker, because this value is not necessarily appropriate for the red. Because again, if we are working with the red, for the most part red goes... Actually it could work with. We have 60. Yeah, it actually could work. Yeah, let's keep it for now. Saving. Oh, how many time we have? About 25 minutes. Okay, let's just pump it up. Oh, speed. We need to go faster. So definitely these things need to be twice as light as this. So if these are 5, although they're actually looks more like 2 because there's a lot of lines there, make them probably 15. 15 could work. Too much. 12, 20. Again, it needs to create good contrast in here. So let's make it darker. Okay, this works. Because I think the part of the eyebrow actually is going to be here. And if we're going to change something in the pose, in the final pose, this eyebrow could end up in here. And this, if this eyebrow is going to end up in here, we need good contrast for this one and this one. We don't need to brow just disappear in the similar color. Like, oh, brow is starting here, but we don't see the end for the eyebrow. Okay then. And of course, suggesting the looks where our character is actually looking at. So yeah, next, so I think I'm done with these. For the most part. These parts needs to be a little bit darker though. It's still going to work. Or not. Yeah, it actually creates good contrast in between. The same I think we will make for our yeah, we kind of need to rework this part because I lost the dynamic of the... Definitely need to reestablish it later. Lost the dynamic. Bring back dynamic usually pretty easy with the with values, although it doesn't look dynamic at all. Again, we're going to stress about it later, not now. We don't have enough details to actually stress about it now. Although it looks pretty bad. Okay, next is bubbles. And what are we going to do with bubbles? Yes, don't want to save changes. Well, let's find snapshot with the bubbles. Bubbles. By the way, bubbles is multicolored. Interesting. Pie. Oh snap, I completely forgot about the Bubbles' beak. How could I forget about it? Bubbles has a huge beak and I completely disregarded it for some reason. Bubbles is going to have like super huge beak in here and it's going to be super important. And I completely forgot about it. How could I? Oh, this is a shame. I guess I was too caught up with making Bubbles dynamic. I forgot about his most prominent feature. His super long beak. Okay. Just find it and actually add it. So his beak kind of starts under his eyes, so if his eyes right here, that means the beak goes somewhere in here. And actually this beak is going to overlap with almost everything that we have here. We might need to actually misplace the maybe we're not going to make it that big because it kind of starts somewhere in here. It's already super big, so yeah, let's just do this like, yeah, a little bit overlap with the cup. And it's a good if it's going to be not tangent, so we definitely need to then place our cup a little bit to the left to get rid of the tangent. Because right now it's pretty close. Let's find our cup. And slightly put it to the left. And then erase. Why it's not erasing? Because there's nothing to erase here. So good. Actually, kind of creates workable overlap in here. With the so-called eyebrow, I don't know, of the Bubbles' eyebrows, eye in here, and with the beak itself. We're definitely going to readdress it when we're going to finalize design, but at least I remembered that beak needs to be there. It's kind of a shame if I actually forgot it completely. I think either way I would realize that I actually forgot it, so it wouldn't be a super problem. Yeah, the problem about Bubbles, he actually has dark bottom. It's not going to be a good thing for us because we have dark right here. Okay, either way, let's make his beak 70. Which is super close to what we have here. Not a good thing. I guess cups and teapots definitely needs to be as white as possible, because we need to create enough contrast for these elements. I think bubbles needs to be darker. 60, 90. Let's make bubbles 80 though. But again, if I will make it 80, it's going to be the same as the tablecloth, which is kind of a problem. So I think we will definitely readjust these elements. Again, our main thing is to keep, like, the whole point about painting for the most part is the battle of contrasts. So if you're going to approach painting this way, it's actually going to be super interesting, because although it seems like I'm controlling everything, but the thing is, I'm not. I can't control anything, because like everything, because for the most part contrasts are going to be created by themselves. So for instance, in order to make bubbles pop out from the table, because he's kind of overlapping the table, and of course if we're going to make bubbles the same color as the table, then we are going to see this. We're just not going to see bubbles. So in order to make him pop out from the table, of course we need to make particular things work. And for the most part, paintings is just battle of contrasts. So you're playing what type of contrast works where. So if this contrast not works against this one, you need to create better contrast separation. So make this one lighter than this to make them separate, or clearly separate, or do the opposite. It's all going to be depends on like what we could change and what not. So for instance, if we want to change contrast for, so what's going to be easier without too much losses? For instance, if we needs to change in order to make bubbles pop out from the table, if we need to change tablecloth value, it's going to affect all of our characters, which is probably not the best way. So right here we kind of need to make smarter decision. Okay, since changing the tablecloth value is going to change how these are going to be separate, maybe we need to try to change bubbles. If we did everything and changing bubbles doesn't work, value for the bubbles, then we will need to go and actually try to change value of the tablecloth without ruining the contrast that we created against these characters. And sometimes it actually situation will allow us to do this. So for instance, we could make this darker without losing that much contrast. So this one's 60, this one 80, we could make it 70 for instance, and not lose that much, because we still, although these are going to be pretty close, but the similar value are not going to be that much important, because tablecloth for the most part is going to be just this value, that's it. We're not going to color it. This one is going to be red color, so although they're going to have similar values, it's not going to make them as one. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it later, so if I'm not making sense, sorry about that. I will still going to talk about it later. For now, I'm just like doing things. So we have about 10 minutes. Okay, we need to hurry up. So I need to finish Bubbles. So for the most part, actually Bubbles has super dark bottom, which is actually pretty good. We could separate Yeah, this is crazy. These legs are super. They look awful. I already talked about this previously. When you're designing creatures like this, it's pretty hard to put them in particular poses and maintain dynamic. They look silly when you have too wide, I don't know, bottom part of the body from which you have right away legs without making them like this. And even this would look pretty silly. But at least you can work around this because you have long legs. But when you have short legs and this one, it's usually hard to actually make it look right. So we're definitely going to work with it super long on the final stages because this is definitely a thing. Huh? Hi there, Scoff-san. This is pretty interesting game life meant. Pretty cool emoticon. It's standard or it's special for Twitch Prime? Because I didn't saw this emoticon. I think it's special for for Twitch Prime. Cool. Twitch Prime has unique emoticon. Yeah. Special emoticons for subscribers only. Well, I'm doing well. How are you? I saw you stream. You started stream a little bit later, like in 3 probably, something like this. Was busy, I guess. I started late too, like an hour ago, maybe less. I'm kind of already finishing. A lot of things to do before sleep. Kind of almost finished. Yeah, 3 hours. For you, an hour of creative for me, and Magic I streamed probably 50 minutes. Played only 2 matches in 50 minutes. That was crazy. Super long matches. Yeah, for the most part, I'm kind of done. The last thing that I'm going to do is to make this thing work. So this part of the bubble's actually dark too. It's kind of pretty close to this one. What type of trouble do you mean? Streaming less? You're actually having a lot of problems with Twitch, like in terms of the technical stuff. I saw you struggling with language, restricting language, and something like this. I think it's just because Twitch right now, like it gone from the beta, so now there's no beta. It's already, there's no legacy site. Yeah, so I guess they will change this in time. For now, it's going to be, I guess, annoying. You need to deal with it. Let's make teacups a different color. By the way, to create a contrast, yeah, I think they will change it, definitely. Not only English speakers stream on Twitch, of course, so I think they will change it sooner. I think if you would write them into support, they will make it a little bit faster. I think they listen their users. Ping, 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 ping. If you write in support and figure out why language is constantly changing on English, they could look up to this and actually maybe will provide you with some solution. Yeah, probably not always. By the way, you remember the chatbot that I show you, the AleksConnects bot or whatever how it calls. So basically today they are changed it into the Streamlabs chatbot. So now it's actually not a AleksConnects bot as what was before. Now it actually called Streamlabs chatbot. I think they just make this chatbot as one. So now I'm actually using a Streamlabs chatbot because Streamlabs probably bought AleksConnects bot. The bot that I actually show you previously, this AleksConnects bot, it's actually super awesome bot. It's the favorite bot from throughout all streamers. A couple of streamers actually using a Nightbot too, but the problem with Nightbot, it's kind of glitchy. I kind of see how people use it, and for the most part it's constantly glitching because Nightbot is located on the servers into the internet, and a Streamlabs bot, so basically this one bot, yeah, this one is located in your PC, so you need to just launch it in order to use it. So for now it calls Streamlabs chatbot because before it was a AleksConnects bot. And it kind of works super fine. It has all things that you need. Again, it could use a song request, what you would probably use, and a bunch of other things. It's not that hard to actually set this bot up. So, but definitely look up through it. Of course, you will choose whatever it fits to you. I know that you're kind of considering Nightbot, but again, I didn't heard from Nightbot. It's pretty limited though. This is the only problem with Nightbot. Yeah, we will talk about this on Sunday. PDD. But again, the only reason why I actually choose this one, because it's super, like, it has a lot of things, and if I want to change something in the future, I can, because you will spend a lot of time to actually setting up the bot, and then you will figure out that this bot can't do a particular things, and you need to set up a new bot. So it's kind of, I don't know, just for the sake of saving time, I will rather choose a bot that I could use for everything. But either way, yeah, I'm kind of already almost finished, so let's just slowly check things and see how they're going to work. So yeah, I think bubbles for the most part works fine. The only thing though, the eyebrows for him needs to be a little bit darker, but I don't want to make them super dark, but they still need to create a contrast. Yeah, bye bye, good night sleep. Oh, welcome turn. Krachka. The eyes, actually, if they are going to be partially closed, then they're going to have a little bit of a dark here. I actually will do this to just basically create a little bit more contrast. I think it would be a good idea to do this thing. Cool. Cool. So yeah, considering our main focuses, I think things kind of work this way. Of course, I will make this separate color. I don't think if this one needs to be that dark. I think it needs to be much lighter. Let's try to make it darker. 50. By the way, I completely forgot to draw a no, they're definitely not going to be like this. No, this one needs to be as light as possible because we're going with it in here, and in here, and in here, and in here. Also, oh, it's actually problematic because, no, it actually will create a good contrast in here. And of course, if I will place something in here, it's definitely not going to be a black fruits. Some oranges. Everything in here needs to be an appropriate value in order to actually stand out against the background, which is going to be pretty interesting thing to do. But again, I'm going to think about this later. For me, I think for the most part, these contrasts and actually create separation for them was much more important. So yeah, let's just slowly wrap up the session, go through a couple of things. So yeah, as you see, these value separations works fine. So almost everything that we need clearly separated from the other. Although we kind of have similar thing in here. But again, I will make with the beak and make it the proper way later. Yeah, considering the characters, values kind of work right, or fine. They all characters are separate. They are in a good contrast relationship with the background. They seem clear even from far, because right here these characters kind of mesh up with the background, which is the problem. Although this looks kind of cool, like in terms of the overall feeling, but first, it doesn't work with our mood, because we need more dominant mood for the loser's side, because this is all about, for the most part, Transformers and their loss, not per se about Angry Birds and their win. So most dominant is going to be the darks and a slight depiction of lights, because again, I don't want to make, like, although this is comedic illustration, or at least I will try to create a comedic illustration, I don't want to like create a feeling that war is something to laugh about, because of course in real world it's not, and I don't want to create for war some type of I don't know, magical feel that it's super awesome and it's super pretty. We still need to depict, so the actually show that war is bad. No matter what type of war we're undergoing through, it's bad. That's why I kind of go in with something more negative than positive. Although it's going to be comedic, and you will see and hear some positive elements, but overall mood needs to be dark. Because again, Angry Birds, they're not positive at all in their attitude for the most part, because they're angry. Transformers, they're not like laughable creatures. For the most part, they're pretty serious and dark. So yeah, I think, and of course the situation itself kind of creates this mood. So I think going with this one is pretty good. So yeah. So for now we will end on this. There's still a lot of work in here. I don't know what's going to be next. Either in the next session I will go through all of these parts and actually will try to create different values for them. So for instance, we have swords. We definitely need to create different values for swords. We definitely need to create different values for, I don't know, do something with Quintessa, although I don't think so. I don't want to spend too much time on tertiary focuses. So I think for the most part I will finish in this point. And the next thing after I will finish the swords, although I could do this right now, but we'll keep it as the warm-up thing on next session. And after I will finish with swords, I will definitely need to re-establish all light sources. So we basically are going to actually place light sources in a particular places and analyze how things are going to work in terms of this light distribution, I don't know, or how light is going to be spread. So yeah, for the most part, and after this is going to be done, I guess after we'll figure out the placement for the light sources, and actually we'll figure out how intense these lights are going to be, how they're going to affect our characters. After this, we will actually try the same thing for local colors. The same thing. We're not going to render it like this. We will stay in this flat I don't know how to properly say it. In this flat state, we will add colors to this, and we will actually figure out what colors everything is going to have. And after we will end with colors, we will work with materials. and see how materials will change our colors. So this is kind of a plan, yeah, for the future sessions. So yeah, on that note, we will end this session, or creative session. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, have a nice day or night, and see you in the next session. Bye bye.